say prescient incendies. United States has granted the Philippines their independence.
Maging wakas, maging dalisay.
Swears in Vice President Sergio Osmeña as
A
president.
prosperous and free democracy can be built in the Philippines.
The Republic of the Philippines.
Ang ating kasing-kasing ni Awit.
A hard election drive pays off and Macapagal wins.
Taking the entire Philippines under martial law.
I have always been a firm advocate of peace.
We are today being hailed as the new Asian Tiger Cup.
Walang kaibigan, walang kumpare.
A strong republic is the bedrock.
Kayo ang boss ko.
Do not destroy my country because I will kill you.
On the recommendation of the Tidings Report, the U.S. in 1946 $1 billion for reconstruction, plus special tariff and trade privileges to last for 28 years. Though the path ahead is still a thorny one, the people of the Philippines have at least gained from the war a new regard for democracy and are today politically alive and active. Proud of the part they played in liberation, newly conscious of their collective power, the ordinary people of the islands are demanding a bigger stake in the future of the country for which they fought. Voting for a president to lead their infant republic through its first 4 critical years of independence, the Philippine people chose Manuel Roxas, long the leader of the Insular Senate. A skilled and experienced politician, Manuel Roxas is an able economist as well.
Roxas and Osmeña belonged to the same political party. They were both nationalistas. They were allies, in fact. But in 1946, right after the war, this was during liberation, or right after liberation, the country was still destroyed. Osmeña, by then, already assumed the presidency because Quezon had died. Who was Roxas in that government? He was already a high-ranking government official before the war.
Because there were just only a few of them, caballeros, no? Gentlemen politicians. All of them believed that they were presidentiables. So it's the circumstances that would allow one of you to claim a competitive advantage over the others. And for Roxas, the stars seem to have been in alignment for him, which included the support of MacArthur, among others.
Roxas wanted to challenge Osmeña for the presidency. Since he couldn't be standard bearer of the Nacionalista Party, he basically formed his own political party, the Liberal Party. So in a sense, the Liberal Party is just a breakaway faction of the Nacionalista Party.
You have to understand na any leader, any president at that time would really have to depend on the Americans. We were a newly independent country. We are heavily devastated. Where will you get the money to finance all your projects? He really had to woo the Americans to give us the aid that we needed.
Ang laban ni Osmeña at saka ni Roxas, parang fair and square, nanalo talaga si Manuel Roxas. He made the rounds of the Philippines and he campaigning for his principles and what he believed in and what he wanted to do for the country. I haven't come across any material that would say something to that effect, that he had the support of America. That's why he got to win. I may be playing naive, but then really I haven't. For us, it's an open secret. Like any Philippine president wins if you have the backing from America.
MacArthur, you would have to understand, when he was retired from the U.S. Army, he was hired by President Manuel L. Quezon to be a consultant, or he was appointed Marshal of the Philippine Army back then in the pre-war years. So MacArthur, in his stay here in the Philippines as a Marshal of the Philippine Army, made a lot of connections in high places, businessmen and all that. And you know, Roxas belonged to one of those clans. It's a family of wealthy people in business. Those were the connections between Manuel Roxas and General MacArthur.
With Commissioner Paul McNutt, General Manuel Roxas, President-elect of the Philippines, arrives for a visit with President Truman. On July 4th of this year, the Philippines Commonwealth will attain its independence. General Roxas speaks to the people of the United States.
The Filipinos are grateful and have a deep affection for America. Although the color of our skin is brown, the temper of our minds and our beliefs is almost identical with yours. The Philippines, in government system and tradition, is a replica in miniature of the United States. That has been transplanted to a land 10,000 miles across the seas, the seed of American democracy. If a prosperous and free democracy can be built in the Philippines upon the ruins of war, the prestige of America and the American way of life will be raised to towering heights, and the millions of people of the Far East will look to us and to you as their models.
He came from a middle-class family. As old families go, they're well off. He was a lawyer. Nag-top siya ng bar eh. Kinuha siyang clerk ni Cayetano Arellano, who was the Chief Justice.
For 2 years, he served with Chief Justice Arellano. Then his grandfather died in 1915. But he had to go home to Roxas to manage the distribution of the estate of his maternal grandfather, Don Eleuterio Acuña. And at the time, there was a vacancy at the municipal council, and he was appointed. And one of his uncles asked him, yeah, go for the challenge. So very accidentally, he became a councilor. Then 2 years later, he would run for governor, holding it for 2 years.
He became the youngest governor of Capiz. And then he ran for the House of Representatives. He became the Speaker in 1922.
When he was provincial governor, he attended this National League, and immediately he was elected president of the League of Governors. And that's when he came into prominence. I think it was Manuel Quezon who was so impressed by the governor's report that he submitted to the body, and it became the model for all the other governors to come up with their provincial reports. From then on, things fell into place.
He was in Corregidor with Quezon kasi he refused to work with the Japanese. He always said na may sakit siya, so he better rest. Pero ang totoo noon is he was secretly trying to help the guerrillas against the Japanese. When he was finally captured, nasa concentration camp siya, parang prisoner of war siya, he was forced to work for the Japanese.
In fact, the Japanese, when they were going to set up their puppet government, wanted Manuel Roxas as the president of their puppet government. Manuel Roxas begged off. He said that he was not feeling well, he was concerned he was not healthy enough to take on the job of president. So that job went to President Laurel.
Roxas found ways to deny the Japanese demand without triggering a brutal response. Because remember, the Japanese executed Abad Santos. Abad Santos became a martyr because he refused to be a puppet. So Roxas had to play a very deadly game with the Japanese.
There were 120,000 soldiers, both American and Filipino soldiers, trapped in Corregidor. At the height of the war, there was nothing to eat. General MacArthur was there. Si Manuel Roxas, as the aide of General MacArthur, he volunteered to go back to his home province of Capiz, and that's where he secured food for the thousands of Filipinos trapped in Corregidor. So, sakay siya ng barko, pumunta siya sa Capiz, kumuha siya ng libo-libong sako ng bigas at mga itlog.
After the war, the issue of collaboration was very controversial because a lot of politicians and politicians' friends were in many ways cooperated with the Japanese, but at the same time, in the case of Manuel Roxas, for example, while he was a special advisor to the puppet government of President Laurel, MacArthur personally vouched for his integrity. Meaning to say, MacArthur was saying that, no. Even though he was acting as special advisor to the puppet government, he was sending classified or secret information to the Americans all the time. What happened was that when he became president, it was part of the healing process, so to speak, that he would pardon people suspected and accused of collaboration with the Japanese, but he did not pardon that law, that amnesty excluded people who were actually involved in murder or serious crimes.
The Americans wanted to perpetrate the colonial pattern of trade. Let's face it, there was a situation of blackmail.
He gave a 99-year lease to the US bases here in the country.
Yung Philippine flag, si Roxas ang nagtataas. Actually, nung lumabas yan sa 100 peso bill, nagkaroon ng reklamo yan kasi parang mas mataas yung American flag than the Philippine flag.
With this ceremony, a new nation is born. 48 years ago, the mantle of American sovereignty fell over this land and this people. It was the beneficent sovereignty of a liberator, pledged to be withdrawn as soon as the well-being of the people would safely permit. America never wavered in that purpose. America today redeems that pledge.
I am authorized and directed by the President of the United States to proclaim the independence of the Philippines as a separate and self-governing nation.
During the inauguration of Philippine independence, mapapansin mo sa video, nagsalita pa si Commissioner Paul McNutt. And then itinaas ang bandila ng Pilipinas at ibinaba ang bandila ng Amerika to proclaim the Philippine independence. He was the last president of the Philippine Commonwealth, and then he was the first president of the Third Republic of the Philippines. So, on July 4, 1946, makasaysayan talaga siya. Kasi sa unang pagkakataon, talagang kakalas na tayo sa kapangyarihan at pananakop ng bansang Amerika. Gusto kong isalo, mapapansin mo sa lahat ng mga documentaries, ang pinakalas mo nang makikita na video was President Roxas standing up. To this day, I have returned to the US, to the Library of Congress, trying to secure a video of President Roxas delivering the speech. Wala talaga. Meron voice recording, but not the visual recording. Siguro, at that time, parang mahalaga lang yung balita. For the American, ang media coverage was America.
While the Philippine flag was going up, the American flag was going down. So yung American flag was handled by High Commissioner McNutt. Yung Philippine flag, si Roxas ang nagtataas. Actually, nung lumabas yan sa 100 peso bill, nagkaroon ng reklamo yan kasi parang mas mataas yung American flag than the Philippine flag. Issue yan.
So, Philippine independence was going to happen in 1946. The country was finally going to be its own sovereign nation, no longer under the Americans, but at the same time, not quite. Independent, but not fully independent. There were several things that the Americans wanted. from the Philippines. And because the Philippines was devastated by war, we didn't have much choice.
Well, the Americans wanted to perpetrate the colonial pattern of trade. And, the plan of the Commonwealth government really was to prepare the Philippines for independence. And you cannot be independent if you have no substantial control over your own economy. So, of course, Roxas was well aware of those issues. Let's face it, there was a situation of blackmail. The Americans, despite the wartime promise of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, chose not to honor the promise. And we were in a very tight situation. The economy was destroyed. Out of 17 million, at least 1 million Filipinos were killed by the Japanese occupation. Took more than resilience to begin anew, this time as an independent nation. So, Roxas presided over the re-establishment of Philippine sovereignty after Osmeña.
What were these things that the Americans wanted? They would give us political independence, but they wanted economic rights over our natural resources. That's what we call the Parity Act, number one. They would give us political independence, but they want their military bases here in the Philippines. So those two things. And those two things, the Americans, or specifically General Douglas MacArthur, felt that they could get from Manuel Roxas. Because to begin with, President Sergio Osmeña, who I'd like to point out belonged to that generation of Filipinos who really wanted full independence, was opposed to Parity Act. Roxas was okay with that, so it's obvious why the Americans, and specifically MacArthur, favored or supported Roxas.
The Belt Trade Act came with other demands of the Americans like parity rights and continuing defense relations. So it was a package, and it was the Cold War. So do you remain neutral or do you choose to remain allies within the United Nations framework?
Honestly, for me, he followed the American line totally. But then again, you had no choice. Kasi yung rehabilitation funds ay nakakabit doon sa passage ng Belt Trade Act. Wala kang magagawa eh. It's not the right choice, it's not the right time. You had no choice. Kapit ka sa patalim.
Si Presidente Roxas, ang buhay niya pang pelikula. It was of epic proportions. He was lucky to have lived in a period that was the birth and growth of the modern Filipino nation. Makasaysayan ang kanyang buhay talaga mula sa kanyang ama. Yung Roxas family, they're from here. He was descended from the Roxas de Ayala and Sobel de Ayala clans. And then his grandfather, Antonio Roxas, decided to go to Capiz to build a business in distilling alcohol from nipa palms. And the business so flourished. His father and his father's brothers, they live in luxury. Pero yung ama ni Manuel Roxas, si Gerardo, was known for being so vocal in denouncing the abuses of the Spaniards. And in fact, he died in the hands of the Guardia Civils. One night, binantayan siya and he was shot and he died on the spot. Nakaupo si Manuel Roxas sa hagdanan sa simbahan ng Capiz. And as a 6-year-old boy, narinig niya yung mga minstrels singing about his father and how he died in the hands of the Spaniards. He was so touched because he just looked back at the minstrels and they heard the song and he was so touched that they were singing about his father. And doon nagising yung damdamin niya. That's where nag-start yung passion niya that never again should foreign invaders trample upon his country. One time, nung dumating na mga Amerikano, as an 8-year-old boy, na-meet niya yung si George Shoens, isang sarhento. He so loved the Roxas family. Doon siya natuto na mag-English. Tapos one time, binigyan siya ng American magazine. Pagbasa niya gano'n, he so loved how life was in America. It was the land of opportunities, the land of freedom and opportunities. That's how he started to love America. Pinangarap niya magpunta sa America one time. So, nagsabi siya sa kanyang lolo, mag-aaral po ako sa Amerika. Sabi ni Don Joterio, hindi natin kaya. So, one time, with 7 or 12 pesos in his pocket, nagbalot siya ng konting damit. Sumakay siya sa barko. Nagtago siya sa, yung malaking barko, tapos mayroong maliit na mga bangka, mga lifeboats. Nagtago siya doon. and hoping to go to America. Alam niya, Manila and then to America. Tapos napansin sa bahay nila na, nawawala si Manuel. So nag-alala ang kanyang mga tiya, ang kanyang ina, ang kanyang lolo. Hinanap nila sa buong bayan, sa Roxas City. Hindi siya makita. Sabi, naisip ng tiya niya, baka maglalayas, puntang Manila, tingnan natin sa barko. True enough, nahuli siya, nagtatago sa maliit na bangka. Sinabihan siya ng kanyang lolo, bakit ba? Sabi gano'n. And then sabi niya, gusto niya talagang mag-aral sa Amerika. And his grandfather was so touched, si Don Luterio. And finally, he gave in, pinaaral siya sa Hong Kong. Not America, sobrang layo, sa Hong Kong.
Matagal na siya may sakit. Kahit nanay niya, alam.
He called the doctor and they all rushed to him. But then in a few minutes, the doctor said, the president is dead.
What are his legacies? Sorry, I can't think of anything.
He died April 15. The day before that, he was speaker sa UP. And parang sa open air, naulanan. And he was running a fever that night. But in the morning of April 15, punta siya dun sa kanyang Aunt Bibi to greet him just good morning, not knowing that that was going to be his last day. And then, inihatid na siya sa Divisoria, papunta sa Pampanga. Pagdating doon, he was feeling good. Natapos niya ang kanyang talumpati. And then, supposedly, iikot siya sa parade in review, parang there was going to be an air show. But then he suddenly felt naninikip yung dibdib. Sabi niya kay General Eubanks, pinasabi na lang niya na he will be represented by somebody else. And then sabi niya sa kanyang aide, si Corvera, I'm sick, call the doctor. And then a certain doctor came and tinulungan siya na parang nahihirapan siya huminga. So, nagpakuha ng mga kutsyon doon sa quarters ni General Eubanks. Pinahiga siya doon sa kutsyon and then he felt better. Then again, he was grasping for breath. Nagpadala ng eroplano sa Manila to fetch Dr. Season. And then Dr. Season came. And then by the evening, he was okay. Sabi niya he requested General Eubanks to notify his mother that he's not feeling well, but that he'll be okay and not to worry. Pero hindi niya alam papunta na sa Clark yung kanyang ina at saka si Doña Trining. Then, but by 9:15, the nurse noticed na he was really gasping for breath. He was really running out of So he called the doctor and they all rushed to him. But then in a few minutes, the doctor said, the president is dead.
May sakit. Kahit nanay niya, alam. Yun nga ang ginamit ng dahilan sa mga Hapon, di ba? Kaya ayaw niyang mag-serve. Kasi totoo may sakit siya. Para may enlargement siya ng heart.
What does that tell you? How much stress did it take for Roxas? Because he died of a heart attack in an American military base.
We have to also appreciate what the challenges that he faced during his time. The country was devastated. Next to Warsaw, the capital of Poland, Manila was the most devastated Allied capital in the war. Everything was destroyed, ruined. You are a newly independent country with a lot of destruction and a lot of things needed to be built. You could even say that challenges were so serious that, Roxas ended up being the shortest-lived president of the country.
Aside from being on the 100 peso bill, aside from being Lolo Shalimar, he founded the Liberal Party, which still exists today. Number two, you cannot brush off his efforts in rehabilitating the country.
Before we go into his legacy, I want to point out one more thing that was not so positive about the Roxas administration. It was also during his time that the Hukbalahap rebellion really got out of control. I think he cracked down on a lot of Hukbalahap supporters and leaders. Some of them, like the Hukbalahap leader, Commander Luis Taruk, ran for Congress and won a seat, but he prevented them from taking their seat in Congress. So I think because of those hard-line approach against left-leaning or left-wing leaders in Congress, that forced them to take up the armed struggle.
Dapat maalala siya na more than the face and the 100 pesos, more than the name Roxas Boulevard or Manuel Roxas High School or Roxas City. Pag sinabi mong Manuel Roxas, hindi yung kalayaan natin mula sa American people. He should be remembered for rebuilding us from the ruins of World War II. He should be remembered for his brilliance. I think, I'm not being biased, but he was the most brilliant that we ever had. By comparison, no one comes close to him.
What are his legacies? Sorry, I can't think of anything. I think in terms of legacy, we might be hard-pressed to find what brilliant or positive legacy he leaves behind. We just have to appreciate the serious challenges that he faced during his time. The country was emerging from a destructive war, and at the same time, it was emerging from the colonial period. It was a newly independent country. So he had to manage all these things.